This is the Be the Solution podcast, and I am your host, Maria Quattrone. Today, I am super excited to have on the show Carmen Tomasetti. Carmen's musical journey has taken him from the decks of cruise ships to the vibrant bars along the coast of New Jersey and the sun-kissed shores of both East and West Florida. With over 3 decades of experience, Carmen is a seasoned soloist, proficient on both guitar and piano, who has mastered the art of reading a crowd and playing virtually any kind of music. Carmen's repertoire knows no bounds. He can seamlessly transition from the upbeat 99 Love Balloons in Germany to the soulful melodies of Van Morrison, the timeless tunes of Neil Diamond, perhaps an Andrea Bocelli serenade in Italian, followed by the reggae rhythms of Bob Marley and the contemporary hits of Coldplay. With Carmen, the sky is the limit. Carmen's musical prowess extends beyond solo performance. He has fronted bands and collaborated with hundreds of talented musicians over the years, adding depth and variety to his musical journey. He's not just a musician, he's a musical voyager who can take you on a journey through time and genres with his captivating performance. Carmen is the go-to maestro for a musical experience that transcends boundaries. Carmen. Welcoming my friend and guest, Carmen Tomasetti, to the show. Good morning, Carmen.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fantastic.
Oh, it's so great to see you.
Beautiful day here in Florida.
Yes, every day I'm sure is a beautiful day in Florida. In
It's
Naples, Florida.
totally sunny. I gotta shut this door so there's no noise. Okay, back.
Excellent. So, Carmen, I want to dive right in with you. You've been in the musical world for the last 3+ decades. I'd like to start at the beginning.
The beginning.
How did it happen?
Which part? The music part?
Yeah, how did you get into the business? What was the premise of it? Like, was it a passion?
I was graduating high school, and my sister was planning her wedding, and we hired this band she hired a band called the Mark Rose Band back in the day, and they played her wedding, and it was $1,700 for the band at the time. Now this was 30 years ago. So I did the math on the back of a napkin and said, if I could just book 50 dates a year, oh my God, yeah. And at the time it was like magic to me. So I decided to start a band because of that. And I did, and I made every mistake in the book. And I did a bridal show at the Valley Forge Convention Center and got one job, and it was at the Overbrook Country Club. And I'll never forget the first time I introduced the groom, I said the wrong name. And so like literally I made no one taught me anything. I literally learned by making mistakes. So I just made every mistake in the book, and several times, not just like once. It's like, once and no. I made several mistakes many times. And then just it's absolute persistence. Nothing but persistence.
Mm.
And I always say failure is not an option, because a lot of times it's not. I don't know anything else. So you just keep moving forward, and eventually things work out if you stick with it.
Eventually things work out if you stick with it. Isn't that the truth? For sure they don't if you quit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people I think, Carmen, a lot of times that it looks easier than it actually is. The building of a business and all of the persistence, consistency, blood, sweat, and tears, the man in the arena, the woman in the arena, the work that's required in order to really build something.
Yeah, and I think I believe that there are people that think that maybe I don't work because I make it look easy. And the truth is I'm just super, super, super organized. I created a software application called Oz that I basically automated almost every part of my business. So there was a time when I had like, maybe 6 employees, and now I'm down to just me and another employee with a bunch of bands that we manage that are subcontractors. So I'm able to do
Oz.
everything from my dashboard, basically. No matter where I am in the world, I could, you know, I could really scale to a degree that I never thought. And each year that the technology gets better, I'm always embracing it. And so, for example, I'm running entertainment not only at many weddings and parties, but many restaurants, some in Florida, some in Pennsylvania. And I'm able to just press a button and send out, what I call offers. Hey, do you want this job? And then the musician on their phone says, yes, I'll take it. And then they're set. So I don't have to talk to people. I could just, through text, through my software, poll, let's say 10 people, are you available? And then once someone accepts, and it's these things that have allowed me to, lift a lot more than I normally would.
Wow. So you built this software called Oz. And what does exactly the software do?
So Oz is called an ERP system, and basically, in layman terms, it does everything. If you're uh, if you're running a sales organization, you put all the leads in there. Once the lead becomes a piece of business, you're able to send out a contract from the software. The software manages all your emails. It manages all your invoices, all your payments. It manages your schedule. It links with Google Calendar, it links with Gmail. So it's one gigantic solution that, especially for the event industry, when you're selling something on a date for a specific time, Oz handles all of that. And early on, I realized that when I had the 6 employees and we're at our busiest time ever, I was more interested in being efficient. So fortunately, I had people that were, agents and were able to talk to clients, because I don't want to talk to clients. I just wanted to figure out a way to make, get a contract out quicker. So I buried myself for 20 years into this software and spent just a ton of money developing it. And now I'm on the other side of it. And, I now also lease this to other companies that use it to run their businesses. But when I say I'm on the other side of it, I don't. There's less and less to do to improve it, because I built a better mousetrap already.
Wow, that's amazing. That is like so I had no idea. So it
Yeah,
literally took you like 20 years to build this?
yeah, and probably, and I'm not exaggerating, maybe 12,000 hours of my own time programming. But we're talking about not giving up. There's just no giving up. I remember one time I was in Naples, and I was at Starbucks, and the barista said to me, I'm sorry, but we're going to be closing, but you could go outside and still work outside." So okay, I went outside, and I'm sitting outside Starbucks. I remember then looking up and thinking to myself, "Oh my God, what time is it? It's 2 in the morning, and I'm outside of a Starbucks programming." And I'm thinking to myself, this is bordering on an obsession, like, because the time just, went away, but I was solving something that I needed to figure out. And I had like,
Wow.
I had, you know, 10 or 12 years or 15 years of that. And I also managed other programmers that helped me when it got a little bit ahead of me. I became like the project manager. But like I said, now I'm able to, book things all, it's like I have an AI that follows me around that does all the heavy lifting.
That's remarkable, to say the least.
Yeah, and
So
it's going to
that's
get
allowed you
crazier
to
as AI develops. The next stage of it, I just want to be able to talk to it and say, "Hey, listen, build a contract for me for this date." Okay, and then it talks to you like a human. So I imagine that's got to be somewhere down the line and not too far away.
wow. What's your view on AI?
Scary as all hell. I used to be, well, I'm always a techno enthusiast, and I've always loved gadgets and couldn't wait for the Jetsons to come here. And now I'm a little bit nervous, or a lot nervous, because I just don't know if our monkey brains are going to be able to handle all that's coming. I think if it was just me, I think it'd be fine. But I'm afraid that, like, I think there's going to be an existential crisis. I don't know if I said that word correctly, but I think there's going to be a crisis for many people, because once you take away people's purpose, it really, I think it's going to be difficult for many people to handle. For example, let's just say you're a toll collector and suddenly toll collecting is automated and that's what you did. What do you do? And you might say, oh, it's just a toll collector, but maybe that was the sense of purpose. You go, you smile at someone, you take the money, and that's in your mind what your reason was for being. Now, for me, I could give me a piano and a guitar and a beach and I could go get lost and just create every day, I think. But if someone doesn't have that skill set, and then the question is, what do you do? If you could have anything you want to eat, anything you want to drink, there's universal income. What gives you the motivation to want to wake up in the daytime? And that's what scares me.
I think it's going to be here. I mean, it's here, but I think it's going to transcend much faster than even the internet did. When that came into mass population in the late 90s, early 2000, um, it didn't take very long, but I think AI and the capabilities of it's just going to be like 10 times faster.
It is, and it's a double-edged sword. Like if you could have anything you want, basically AI could give you, then what's you start questioning what's the purpose, unless you have like a thirst of knowledge and you want to explore certain things. I don't think that everybody's built like that. I think there are some people, I think, that go through life not questioning the bigger issues and just, and going from day to day. And, I wonder, I just think there's going to be a crisis of biblical proportions of purpose.
That's a tragedy.
Oh, yeah, it really is. And I want to be wrong. So, I hope that I'm wrong. It's just, it goes back to be careful what you wish for, because if everything is available to you, then you need to be a stronger individual to be able to say no. Like if you could have the finest Chateau Lafite Rothschild wine every day, then it raises the bar. And what I'm finding, so I recently went back to work. Recently started performing again, and it's been the greatest thing for me, because getting my hands dirty, if you will, just being re-engaged and having to work has given me another sense of purpose and a sense of gratification. Forget about the money. Just like, at least for me, especially what I do, I make people happy and I can see it in their faces. So I get an immediate feedback from people. And it's just given me that sense of purpose and humility. Like, I actually had stage fright for 20 years. I built a business, and then once the music business, it took off, I hired all these people that were amazingly talented, and there really wasn't a place for me in that, and I put myself to the side and just worked on the booking end of it. Then COVID happened and everything stopped, and I had nothing to do except play music down here in Florida, which was still open, but I had just plenty of time, and that was my only purpose to wake up, which was great. And then when I came out of that, I was able to play again. But I remember I still had this doubt and fighting that. and going, but fighting the stage fright and everything, and just going back and doing it, and then getting to the point where say, I don't care, just accepting me. And I'm going off on a tangent, but the bottom line was that there's something I find really rewarding about getting my hands dirty again and being a part of it, and having something to do. So consequently, if you said to me, Carmen, you hit the lottery tomorrow and you're now a billionaire, I don't know that my life would change any, because like, what do I want? I got everything I want, and that's different for everybody. But for me, I feel so lucky sometimes that I'm because I'm content in my skin where I'm standing. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't mind flying private to Italy once in a while, but that's not even something that I'm joking. Not that I would turn down a private flight, but I'm happy to fly coach. I still get there in one piece.
That's funny. I have a couple. I have a couple thoughts on this. Questions actually. So you had stage fright. So what? You're a performer. You're a performer. How do you get over that?
You just have to accept yourself. So let's go down this rabbit hole. I decided I wanted to do ayahuasca. Have you ever heard of ayahuasca?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
scared of that shit.
No, you shouldn't be scared of it. So
Well, we can unpack it right now.
yeah, I got this in my mind. I don't remember where I found out about it. It was on the internet and everything. I researched everything to the hilt. And then I found a place I was going to go to in Peru. I called my friend. I was talking to my friend randomly in Colombia. He lives in Colombia. And he said, "No, you got to come to Colombia. There's a finca here, Finca's farm, and they do this retreat and everything." So to make a long story short, he gave me some guy's number. I called the guy, and 3 days later, I'm in the jungles of Colombia for 7 days straight of of an ayahuasca experience, and 7 days is quite. Some people just do it once, and I was searching for many things, but I just felt like and it wasn't something that I wanted to do to wasn't exploring the universe. I wanted to. It just seemed like something that could really help you break through. And I went down and I did it, and it was not fun. So you don't go there and say, "Oh, we're gonna have fun." It really wasn't fun. You throw up. You're in the bathroom all the time. But when you break through, if you will, you have a therapy session with the universe that can feel like 600 years, but it's only in your trip, if you will. And I came back a different person with a sense of appreciation that I can't even begin to tell you. Just appreciation. And to give you an idea of appreciation, I remember at this one point I was just laying all zoned out on the grass, and I was holding a blade of grass, and I don't know, I could feel the life in the grass, and I just felt this comfort over me that I was anchored to earth, if you will, on this grass, this piece of grass, this little thing. And then it dawned on me, if I could have this feeling that this blade of grass is giving me, it's coming from within. What am I capable of if I could this blade of grass could give it to me? This is happening in internally. So what am I capable of? Like, it must be like a universe of anything, that you can imagine that you're capable of. So, at any rate, when I came back, I not only had this appreciation, but I had this acceptance more of me. Like, this is me. I want to post the video online. I'm going to sing my heart out. And if you don't like it, that's fine. I'm not perfect. I might hit a wrong note, but that's me. And I like me. I don't want to use the word love because that sounds like I'm being whatever the word is, but I really like me, and this is me, and this is what I put out there, and I'm okay if you don't like it. And I came with that thing. Well, fortunately, people were liking it, and it was positive feedback loop. So I started posting all these videos. But that's what allowed me to get over my stage fright. It was basically, F you world. I don't as much care what you think. I do care, obviously. That's why you're a performer and everything. But it's I've become so much less hard on myself, accepting of myself, in my skin, appreciative. So to that end, I would recommend it to anybody searching for anything. If you're at a block and you're searching for something, and it doesn't have to be PSD, it doesn't have to be this like gigantic life trauma. And to that end, I feel like I want to go back again, because like I feel like if one time I could improve myself this much, what else is there left to me to understand about myself, about the universe, and so it's just I plan at some point on going back, because I just feel like I just want to improve.
Isn't that what life's about?
I would think so.
I talk about it all the time. What can we do to be the best version of ourselves today? How can we push ourselves a little bit more, just to be one little blade of grass better than we were yesterday? And I started this back when I read this book, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. And he talked about, have you ever read it?
No, I'm not familiar with
Okay.
it.
So he talks about the value of the compound effect, and, take a piece of paper, draw a line on it, and draw a line next to it, and next to it, next to it. And look if you have one little blade of grass and one little line, look how far you've come in a year's time. And being accepting of where you are on your journey today, and know that I'm working today to get a little bit better for tomorrow. I want to bring up something. I think it's important. You asked me about the podcast and how I was doing with it. And we sometimes don't know why we do something or what it means to do. But it goes to this performing, right? Because this is a performance, so to speak. We're just having an honest conversation, but it will be out there in the social land, in the virtual world, virtual land. And there are people that will always, be judging it or whatever. But when you do, just like you sing and over and you practice, right? And you get better and you get better. Sometimes we don't know where that journey of all of that has taken us. And you can't connect the dots forward, only backwards. So the journey of practicing 200 plus podcasts, 1,000 plus videos, however many times, gosh, you've performed and you sang and and you kept going, creates within us the best versions of ourselves. And it always can be improved. We never arrive.
And it to that end, I guess a little what talking about AI and related to this, I guess what I've come to a conclusion at my ripe old age is that you need a little bit of struggle. Without struggle, it doesn't seem worth it. Like if I could just put a chip in my head and then play a concert piano, there's something about the struggle, the journey, the struggle to get here. And recently, I've practiced. I can't tell you how many thousands and thousands and thousands of hours, but I don't say that to you exacerbated. I say that to you because I love what I do, but I only say it a little exacerbated because I'm trying to give the point that I can't tell you how many hours and hours and hours and hours and hours I practiced and tried and failed, and then recently I started. I had the opportunity to play this jazz club, and it was foreign to me because the jazz club people are sitting there eating, listening, as opposed to just background music. So it was really a test to can I do this? Like I'm used to being the musical wallpaper. And you only need a certain amount of talent to be the background. But when you're people are staring at you. So like I practiced all day that day before I went in. I'm thinking to myself, God, I don't know if I'm gonna. This is recently, a couple months ago. I couldn't believe the response to people it gave me, I was just like blown away. It's like looking like her clapping. I'm like looking back, me, you know. So it was the most rewarding thing in the world. And there's something true about that imposter syndrome. And I do accept myself in that whole bit, but I still have that sense of like, this isn't real. Like I'm faking it, and I'm fooling these people. And I think this is a human condition. It's not like I'm not saying woe is me.
It is
You know,
it's definitely a human condition.
but I
I
accept that part. But I'm still enjoying the ride, but I still feel part of me feels like I'm just you know uh, fooling these people. But at the same time, I'm having a great time. So let
you're
them.
definitely not fooling them, but I've been there. I've been there before when it's probably about halfway through 20 years in the real estate industry, 31 years in sales. It's probably halfway through my real estate career and I was doing really well. And I'm like, oh my God, they're going to figure me out. Like I had that feeling all the time. I'm like, when's the other shoe going to drop, you know?
Yeah,
But
because I think this, and I mean, I'm sure this is something that everybody, feels to a certain degree.
yeah, well, because at every level, there's your devil, right? There's a devil at every level. I don't have that feeling anymore. There's just a different one because it's at a different level. And I don't care what industry you're in, Carmen, whether it's in sales or scooping ice cream or singing or dancing or playing a sport, without the thousands and thousands, tens and 20s, 30,000 hours of practice over and over and over again, it's the only way to get better at your craft, whatever it is. And yeah, AI still can't replace you singing, well, you singing. Like it can't sing for you, can it? Maybe. I don't know, but you can't. It comes back to like the work has to be done inside. Like
I I
you,
agree.
you
I
did
just
the
don't know what the future is going to hold because AI is just going to get smarter and smarter and smarter. And I was thinking this the other day. Soon we'll have these devices in the kitchen that'll make anything you want to eat. And you just press a button and it'll pop out whatever you like, the Jetsons. And then I thought to myself, I think I'd still want to cook because there's something about the process. There comes to a point in law of diminishing returns where you have to decide that, like, do I want to be human? And how much do I want to, or do I just want to become a spirit? You put the chip in your head and you fly off into cyberspace. And I think that we're going to have a choice to make in the world as to what you want to do. And one of my goals is to buy a place in Italy, like an Airbnb, like a little villa.
I was just gonna ask you about Italy. Where
Yeah,
would it
and
be?
in Abruzzo. And I thought to myself, as this world gets more and more complicated, I could see myself getting more and more simplistic, and be that guy on the hill that's like, oh, he's still old school. He still cooks his own meals, and there's things flying above and everything like that. And I'm known as the old guy that still makes his own bread or something. But there's something about that rewarding.
I
At
would
least I.
still cook because it's a passion and it's creative. And since my work isn't terribly creative, I guess a little bit creative, like on the listing side, but not terribly. It's not like singing. Um, I need the creative outlet. So cooking, especially cooking, not baking, because cooking is, we'll say,
Yeah, I'm
what's the
not a
rest?
baker. Baker's too precise for me. I like Italian, a pinch of this, a pinch of that. Like.
That's right. You
So
cook.
yeah, I'd like to see. I was thinking today. I'd start a YouTube channel, about cooking in Abruzzo, where I'd be posting, and like I'd have the villa, and I'd be saying, come visit the villa. We'll teach you how to cook. We'll go here, and then little day trips, and then also I could see like a recording studio there, because if maybe musicians that also have a similar desire to go to Italy or something like that. So that would be the three markets: people want to travel, people want to cook, and musicians that have a passion for Italy.
Yeah, so I created what's not created, but it's called Ciao Maria Elena, and it is all about Italy, cooking, food,
Do you have a
lifestyle.
website?
No, but actually I have. When we were in Italy in what year was this when this idea came up? 17. So we were in Tuscany, staying at this old castle thing. And I said, oh my God, Ciao Maria Elena. So I went and bought the domain, but I haven't created anything yet from it. But I have this thing I can bring
No
people.
time like the present.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, we can bring people to Italy from, the real estate land who want to know more about Italy, like off the beaten track places. Like, for example, my great uncle, before he passed away, he actually died in April of 21. He was 101, just
God
over
bless.
101 years old, but he got COVID. He didn't believe what was going on. So he ended up getting it. Anyway, he lived in Piacenza, which is in Emilia Romagna, which is about 50 minutes from Milan.
Well, that was
And
bad up there. They really got hit hard up there.
yeah, and that region a lot of people don't go to. They don't know a ton about, but it's beautiful. That's where they make like normal wine, like
I spent a
everyday
lot of time up north. I've been
drinking.
all over Italy, literally all over Italy. I mean, literally. And I spent a lot of time up north, but I've basically driven everywhere from Sicily to Sardinia to the north, the south, the east, the west, both sides.
Do you have a top three?
Places.
Yeah, favorite spot.
Sirmione is a magical place. It's on Lago di Garda, Lake Garda, and it's a peninsula that sticks out in the middle of the lake, which is like an inland ocean with a really cold beach called Jamaica Beach. That's a really, really nice place. Another great place to go to is Tropea in
I love
Calabria.
Tropea.
You've been?
I have.
So,
And I was there when we were able to on the beach. You know how there's like that cave thing, and you can walk through the cave, and you can be on the other side. But if you're not there at the right time, the water all fills up.
I've got pictures of me playing guitar inside the cave
Oh my gosh!
with the water splashing inside. Not
Oh my!
videos. I have videos of me.
Send me that video. I'd love to
Yeah,
see
it's on my
that.
Facebook. So it's somewhere on my Facebook, but I'll find it. I'll send it to you.
Oh, I love Tropea is amazing. Okay, that's number
So,
2. Number 3.
well, number 3, I guess I would just say is a Abruzzo in general, but I don't want to publish that because I don't want to make it too popular. What I love about Abruzzo is I don't think I've ever seen an American there. It's a real an Italian experience, because while there is tourism there, it's not like it's got everything Tuscany has, except it's more vast and no tourist. So it's sort of like home for me. But I got to tell you the Tropea story. My friend has a cooking school outside of Rome in an area called Sabina. It's really a nice place, and a bunch of friends were talking about going to this cooking school, and I said, okay, great, but I'm going to go rent a car and I'll be in Sicily. And my email lit up like, I want to come, I want to come, I want to come. I said, okay, everybody, you could come, but here are the rules. There are no plans. Don't pigeonhole me. I'm landing with no plans, nothing. And just follow me. To make a long story short, when we got to the cooking school 10 days later, my one friend broke down into tears, almost uncontrollably. Man, He said, "I've never been on a trip like this." It was like it was like the spiritual journey because we landed and we were like, "Okay, where we're gonna go? I don't know. Let's find a rent a car. Okay, let's Airbnb here. Here we are in Sicily, in Palermo. Here we are in Noto. Here we are
Did
in
you fly
uh,
into Palermo?
what's that?
You flew into Palermo
Yeah, yeah. So we stayed. At any rate, we went over the Strait of Messina, on the ferry to go to Reggio
to Villa
Calabria.
San Giovanni?
Yeah, yeah. And I told the guys, okay, I'm looking on okay, we're going to Tropea. It's just I was looking at Google Maps, like where would look like an interest. I didn't really read about the places. I was like looking on Google Earth. I was like, this looks like an interesting place. So we pulled in Tropea. We had no reservations. We found a place on the beach. It had dinner and breakfast. It was the most incredible thing. So Tropea is really special. Oh, another great place is Trentino, Trento, up in the northern part of uh, of Italy. It's really a special town because what happens is it turns into Austria slowly as you go up there. It doesn't happen all at once.
Is
It's
that
just
in
like
Piedmont?
no, I think Piemont's on the other side. This
Mm,
is on the Austrian
Adriatic?
side. I think Piemont's on the French side.
It
'Cause I've
is.
been up I've been up to Bardonecchia up on that side, and I've been as far north on the other side as Bolzano. Ah, Ortice is amazing. There's something called Val Gardena, the valley, so I
Alto.
think and Ortice overlooks the Dolomiti Mountains, and those granite mountains are just like, I don't know, you just gotta see them. They're just breathtaking.
Wow.
And when you're up in Ortice, it's you don't know whether you're in Germany or in Italy. It's because it's really a blend of both. I mean, you could get Wiener Schnitzel or pasta on the menu, beer or wine. I mean, it really is a blending of the cultures, and it's really, really, really a nice place to visit.
It's making my Italy trip seem even more exciting.
I'll be there in August.
When are you? We're going in August
I'm going the
23rd.
29th to the 15th. I go see the family.
You're going to
I've
be
been
in
like 60 times now.
60.
60.
Wow. I'm on like 17.
Yeah.
60. Phew, that's a lot. Well, you're going to buy a place in
In Abruzzo, hopefully in
Abruzzi
the next 2 years.
and
I, I actually met my wife
farmhouse.
in an Italian class in Milan. So we're both taking Italian lessons in Milan. I woke up one day and I said, I've pretty much done everything I wanted in my life. What do I really want to do? And I realized, if I really want to respect my family and really, buy into this Italian thing, I better learn how to speak it properly, as opposed to, me calling I consider like myself like a faux Italian until I, learned how to speak more and really understood the culture. And it's a way of respecting the people that come before me and my family there now. So I found the Italian school in Milan, went in and met my wife.
How about that? And you went to school there for a week, 2 weeks?
Well, I was going like a month at a couple weeks at a time. I'd go there. There was one year I went about 6 times to Italy. Like I'd go for a month and come back for a month and then go for a couple weeks and then come back. And I just couldn't get enough of it.
Wow. We'll be there at the same time. We're gonna fly into Bologna. I think we'll get there on the
And where
23rd.
are you going to specifically?
So my cousin family, second cousin, my father's cousin, they live in near Florence, but they have a sea home in Antico, Chess Antico on the Adriatic,
Mm.
between Rimini and Ravenna.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we're gonna go there for I don't know how many days, maybe 5.
Well, if you're up there, you should
And
check
then we're
out.
gonna travel down all the way down to Puglia, to the bottom, and then over to Calabria. We have family there.
You say Trulia?
Oh, Puglia.
Apulia. Yeah, because there's something called Trulies
Yes,
in Alberobello in Puglia
Alapata,
area. Yeah, they have those little huts
the little
that are
huts.
When I tell
Awesome.
you I've been everywhere, I was on a quest to find out what it means to be Italian, and you know what is the Italian soul, and what every I just couldn't get enough of it, and I've never really developed an answer that Italian is sort of like a spectrum, I guess, because it's funny. I noticed I've learned all this Italian music from Italy, and then I'll meet someone that's Italian from the States that was born in Italy and maybe came here like 30 years ago, and they don't know any of this music. So even when people moved here, their Italianness changes because then, wherever they are, they have different experiences. So that's why I say Italian is a spectrum. But for me, you know, I don't want to sound snobby, but I sort of more identify with the Italian that's, born and bred in Italy and stayed in Italy. And when I say I'm of Italian descent, or I'm Italian, I really mean that, because that's really more. Uh, I know more about that than anything.
I love Italy. It's my favorite place in the world. Well, after America, of course. And I mean that when I say that is that you can create a life here of anything that you want.
For
Thinking
sure.
Europe,
Wherever you go, there you are.
yeah. It's a little harder to build business in Italy and Greece and all these other places, but I
And
don't know enough.
that's why I want to do the Airbnb thing. And for me, I don't have these illusions of grandeur. I just want to make enough to be able to support that, pays the taxes, and the nest egg should keep me through the rest of the thing. But also, I the reason that I'd want to get like an Airbnb type thing, like a couple little villas in Italy, is because I think I would be bored to death. Because I've been there enough times that I don't have this idealized version, like everything's perfect in Italy, because it's not. It's a, but I think the strong culture is as a real positive, and the way people live, the way people interact
Oh,
with each other. And
I
again, it's
love
not perfect. They have their problems. I'm not saying they don't, but I think on whole, the way the Italian culture is, the way they treat kids, for example. You have kids running around a restaurant, no one's going like, oh, kids, it's part of the culture that, they're kids, so no one's getting upset. But that being said, I think if I was, drinking vino every day, eating delicious food, that after a while you go, you know, cuckoo. And for me, the purpose would be sharing the culture with other people, and I say it in a
yes.
manageable way. Like I could just say it like maybe, let's say, 4 or 5 months a year doing this. So in those 4 or 5 months, I huff it a little bit, and I want to be tired. I want to get a little tired and get a little burnt out, because that's when you get burnt
Well,
out. That's when you could really enjoy the countryside and sit there and drink the wine and say, "Oh, this is great."
you're also sharing with people that don't know don't know about it. So you're impacting them with the beautiful culture, the beautiful food, and the memories that you're creating for other people. Like there's something about that that's pretty magical, actually. And
Mm.
then all the different people that come and spend time, and then you develop these relationships with people. Like that's one thing that I've had in the podcast. I've learned about people. I've been able to like develop deeper relationships with a lot of, not everybody, of course, but a lot of people that I didn't have before. And I think it's you be able to create those memories for people. That's very empowering.
Yeah.
And I think I love that country. I I would want to spend as much time as I can there. But
Well, and for me,
I'm not yet at the point where I can go for, months at a time. So
and I'm sure you too. It's the people. Um, it's the way people relate to each other. At least, so when I say that, I guess I'm really speaking mostly for Abruzzo, because that's where I spent most of my time. I mean, I've been everywhere in Italy, and I've met many people. And there is something to the fact that the northern people are a little more reserved. And I've noticed that. but the way the people that I know from Abruzzo, and I say Abruzzo because it's not a city, it's really like the country. But the people that I've spent most of the time with are people that are salt of the earth, that they're not afraid to get their hands dirty, that they're the older I get, even no matter how intellectual I consider myself, the more I start looking back towards the simple things in life, and getting your hands dirty and doing the work. And that's where I find my purpose.
Mm, so good. I love that. And I wish more people could find their purpose, because it's what really we were here to figure that out. And you have to listen to your inner voice, and you have to be open for whatever that is. Um,
If you
and
weren't
that's
in if you weren't in real estate and podcasting, I would say a therapist would be. Your voice is so disarming. Like, I just want to tell you everything, and you could psychoanalyze me. You could make $1 billion writing psychology books and then interviewing people for
mm,
therapy.
I'd rather be in Italy making some food for people and showing them.
You could still be Dr. Maria.
Yes, very calm. That's part of the practice. I've learned. I used to have a lot of, my speech was very dramatic, a little more dramatic, highs and lows, and it was more personality. And what I found is that when you can, like, it was a little more like frenzy, like then
Hmm.
all's good in the world. Gratitude
There was
every day.
there's a place in Italy called Silvi, and at the top of Silvi Alto, at the top of Silvi, there was this path, if you will. And I sat up there one day, and I posted on Facebook. I always post these like moments. I don't post like, if I'm lucky to fly privately, you're not going to see me getting into a plane. Like, I only post stuff that I think that helps people's souls. So I was just I had these sunglasses on, and I took a picture of myself, and you could see what I was looking at, this vast expanse. And it wasn't a look at me thing. It was like this is what peace is, you know. And I sat there for like a half hour, and I just stared out at the sea from the top of this, the city that I was sitting on. It was so quiet. There was nothing going on. And it was just like, for me, that's the top of the food chain, to
Mm,
be doing that.
it's remarkable. There's nothing like Italy. Are you a Italian citizen?
I've started the process. I've just got sidetracked with some of the documents that I have, but I have a lawyer in Tuscany that's helping me, and hopefully this year.
Yes, it's on my list. Also, learning to speak properly is on my list.
So you do speak?
Piccolo.
I will tell you, it is the most rewarding thing in the world to have someone speaking to you, and you're going like, wait a second, I understand what you're saying. And it's like, I can't, you must be speaking baby Italian to me. How can I understand? Because it opens up like a whole, like, I've arrived, you know? Yeah, I can understand. And while I don't speak perfectly, every year that goes by, I understand more and more. And what comes first is understanding first, and then speaking second. Because
Mm,
it's when you're understanding, the other person's doing all the work, you're just trying to interpret what they're saying. But when you have to speak, you have to form all the things yourself. So
sure.
that's why understanding comes first.
I can understand much more than I as I go more. But now I'm rusty because it's been 3 years. And usually we go over a year. Last Last year, zero vacation. Year before, we were in France for 3 weeks, and then we were in Italy the year before. But we were going every year for a while. But now we got to get back on the going to Italy, and hopefully more trips as I can get more things organized at the back in Philly.
So it's funny when I go, I basically these days I just go and sit at my family's kitchen table. I mean, I have very little curiosity now because I've pretty much
Been there
seen
60
everything you can
times.
see, almost every part of Italy. And now I go just to hang out with the family, visit friends, and really feel like a part of the fabric of it.
Oh, I love that. I would love to be able to get to that. But
It's
if
strange because now I go and I don't have this before I landed. I'm like, I'm in Italy. Oh, I don't have that anymore. It's almost sad because I go now and I just feel like I'm in another state. Like I don't feel like I'm away anymore. And I mean, it's good, but also like I don't have that sense of like the hairs are standing on the back. I'm in Italy. I'm in Italy. No, I feel like no, because I know I don't need MapQuest anymore. In most of Abruzzo, I know my way around. I drive there, and I know I could speak enough that I could go to any store and get by.
mm, that's interesting. But I guess that happens if you're there enough and you feel like you're part of the fabric of it.
So I'm sitting. It's a funny story. I'm sitting in Milan. I was going to Milan for a while, and I had some friends that I met in a coffee shop in Manayunk, and we became fast friends. So to make a long story short, I ended up with these friends that come to Milan. So we're all sitting in Milan in a cafe outside, and there are people walking around. And I said to my one friend, I said, "Look around." I said, "It doesn't even feel like you're away, does it? It feels like we're home." And the guy looked at me and almost had a meltdown. Literally was like, he couldn't get his words out. He says, "What are you talking about? This is nothing like home." And I was like, wow, I must have really changed because I literally, there was nothing foreign about it. The dress, the drink the coffee, everything. And that's when I realized, I guess I've changed. And
How
I'd like to think for the better.
how many days or months do you think that you have been there in the 60 times? Like how much time?
Oh, I wouldn't even know where to begin. I mean, like I'd go see my family
Because
when I was
it's
younger for a
probably
few weeks.
years, right?
At least a full year, I would imagine, because I go there, I'll spend 2 weeks with my family, and then now I'm going like 3, 4 times a year. And like, I'll just sometimes I just go over for a week, and because of the I'm really close with my cousin who introduced me to all his friends, and I consider them my friends now. And now we're going to meet in Oktoberfest. We go to Munich every other year. I usually end up in Munich with the Italians, and like I have this. It, it's funny. Like I almost look at Italy as like Philadelphia, and like Germany is like Kensington, and like other parts of Philly. Because once I started going to, I remember when I was younger, I always wanted to explore. And I remember getting out of Southwest Philly where I grew up. And then I remember I was, in, Passyunk with my bike, and it felt like I was far, far away. But when I'm in Italy and then I go to Germany, it's like, I look at like the Germans, the Italians, the French, is like different like sections almost of like Philly where I grew up. And I don't know what my point is here, but
Well, you were stating how it feels so much like home, and then when you're going to the
yeah,
other
yeah, just
neighborhoods, you're going to the other neighborhoods, and they remind you of other places.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh, it's so beautiful. It's so amazing. It's like the people. It's everything about people. But wherever you go, Carmen, as you said, there you are.
so I have this In a drunken stupor at Oktoberfest, I came up with this, the saying or this quote just appeared in my head, and I'm the quoter. And I think if I remember correctly, you could stand on 1,000 shores and never see past your nose, or you could speak with one stranger and explore the universe. And that came to me while drinking beer at Oktoberfest. I'm sort of an introvert and sometimes very cerebral. So Oktoberfest faded away, and I'm drinking my beer, and that quote came into my head. But bottom line is, it's through people that you could explore, because you could go a million different places and be alone and not really explore or talk to one stranger. And,
I love that. So beautiful. I do like quotes myself. They're very empowering and make you think. One of my favorites is Henry T. Ford. Whether you think you can or think you can't, either way, you are right.
Mhm.
That's one of my favorites, actually. Probably is my favorite because there's so much validity in that. And I believe it, comes down to belief. Belief in yourself. Do you believe that you can do anything that you put your mind to? And then what is that, and what does it look like? And if we can see it, we can achieve it. We
But
can't
I
see it.
think also there has to be a caveat with that. There was a Hiram Smith. There was a book called The 10 Laws of Successful Time and Life Management by Hiram Smith and Stephen Covey. It's great.
Mhm.
And in that book, they talk about having principles that are aligned with true north. So, while you can do anything, you also have to have yourself aligned with goals that are going to, like you'd say, I just want to, eat sugar every day. I just love sugar and chocolate bars. It's not going to be the healthiest thing for you. You could eventually achieve it. So you have to have goals that are in line with real happiness, or sustainable happiness.
Hopefully that's part of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hopefully that's part of it.
Well, but there are people out there that have, we all grow up differently, and sometimes we want things that are not actually good for us.
Mm.
And waking up and understanding, what's good for us is important. And at the end of the day, I think it's people over things, experiences over things. I mean,
Experience.
things are nice, but you only need a certain amount of things, and then because things can control you if you
Well,
acquire.
if you look at COVID, I recognize how many things we don't need. When I was staring at all the things in the closet that didn't get used for basically a year, you know, how many I looked at, I'm like, oh, when am I going to use that Chanel bag again? Just as an example.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I mean, we overconsume in America, no doubt.
Yeah.
We probably could live with a lot less stuff if you think about it. Really think about it.
Yeah,
Everybody
and
should look in their closets.
I'm a big thrower outer of things or giving away of things, so I love that cleansing feeling. I Anybody who knows me knows I could fill up one of those dumpsters of things that I just like minimalism, and it's just so much easier.
Oh, it is. It is. I have to be purging a lot of things this year, getting rid, clearing.
I think of some of the stars that have like 10 houses or something like that. Like, what do you need 10 houses? You can rent maybe one or two because that's where you put your stake in, and you're there, and it really, you spend a significant amount of time. Okay. But like, someone that has like, more than two, it's like, for what? You can't
Gotta
you
park,
can't consume that much.
gotta park money somewhere.
Well, if it's
And
for
real
that,
and
that's a different.
real estate over time all
Okay, no,
goes
I
up.
can't argue. I can't argue with that. But I mean, I'm talking about the rich sect that have the houses and they have a staff there, but they only go there like a week, uh, a year.
Well, that's just wasting money.
I mean, down here in Naples, you go on, the affluent part of the beach. There are houses that are boarded up most of the time, and people come down and I mean, and these houses are. There's a house in Naples for 295 million right now, to give you an example.
The compound on the at the that point there area, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, so you know it. That's right. Yeah.
I drove by it when I was there in April. I said, let's go stake out the $295 million house. It was the first thing we did after we went to the beach.
Yeah.
We were visiting some friends.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
it
your
was
business. So
awesome.
you get to.
I gotta check it out. I didn't see like how it cost that much money, to be honest with you. I
Oh,
think
it's
it's over.
supply and demand, I guess.
I think it's overpriced.
Well, it, it's certainly out of my budget.
It's not. It's only 3,000 people probably that can afford to buy that.
But the funny thing is, like I was saying, to echo back at what I was saying, like if someone said you could have that house, I'd take it, but it wouldn't. Like I don't lust for it. I don't strive for it. Because like I said, like I feel like I've got everything I want. So
Mm.
like I don't have this dream of like I'd have that place on the beach and sit there. I get to the beach anytime I want to. It's 10 minutes away.
Well, a lot of people want things that are never going to happen. And also, that really just don't mean anything.
Yes, and that's the key is understanding what's going to give you the most fulfillment for the buck. And and at the end of the day, spiritual fulfillment is probably well, not probably, it's definitely more important than anything because if you're spirit and I'm not really talking religious, I'm just talking about, psychological just being content and at peace. Most important thing.
Most most important thing. And I think there's a lot to say about gratitude and humility. I think that comes into play with that part of being, the spirituality. And actually am also religious, but I think it's important.
Mm.
Mm. Okay, Carmen, I got two questions for you before we wrap it up. Number one, guilty pleasure.
I guess my music. I could sit at the piano, sometimes with my headphones on, and I just love it. Otherwise, other than that, chocolate, maybe a piece of dark chocolate. I usually have a piece of dark chocolate after my one meal a day. But
You love a music.
yeah,
Love it. And then, what for your future are you most excited about?
I guess growing into the person that I hope to keep growing into, and exploring that. This is such a gift that we have this life, and I just hope that I could find even more contentment and peace from becoming who I'm meant to be. And to answer the question in a little bit of a extra couple sentences, I feel like we all vibrate at a certain level. And the first part of my career, I felt like I was vibrating in like a certain level, and there was nothing that could stop me. I felt like I was being divinely led. And then I had this period of my life where I didn't, and I felt like, this whole thing was just nuts. I just this is reality, and that whole vibrating thing or whatever. And for many years I felt like I was adrift. And recently, I felt like I'm vibrating again, and it's really boils down to being true to yourself and being the person that you're meant to be, and not fooling yourself as to who you are. Just being who you are, embracing who you are, loving yourself and the whole bit. And I just want to become more, self-actualized. That's, you know, eventually I want to get to Italy, but that's part of it, just I guess ultimately someday I want to say F you to death and say, I'm ready. I've done it all. I'm not scared. You come get me, Grim Reaper.
Mm,
And F you while you're taking me away because you're not scaring me. I'm not going kicking and screaming. I want to go run towards you. And I
mm.
guess that would be what I'd be looking forward to, the goal of getting to that level.
Man, that's heavy. Yeah, that is definitely phew, challenge for many.
Well, it's all
Oh,
there. It's just, you got to go through the eye of the needle to
yes,
get there.
you do. You do. Well, it was amazing having you on today.
Well, thank you. It was an honor to be invited.
It
It's a
was
pleasure too.
it was
And,
great.
and and it's so nice to talk to you. You have such a disarming quality, but I'll tell you anything you want to know. It's like, just ask me.
Yeah,
You have you really
I
have
love
a
it.
special way about you. So I think you're going to be very, very successful as you
Mm.
continue to do this, even more so than you are.
Carmen, thank you very much for the kind words. It was great to have you on Be the Solution podcast. And you are certainly being the solution in your own life. So,
Grazie.
grazie
Ciao.
mille.
Ci
Ciao, ciao.
vediamo.